So I've owned this 4Runner for over a year now. I bought it in 2016. So 2017 was my first full year owning it. The video when I first bought it will be linked down below. Ask almost anybody what a reliable car brand is, and you'll probably get two answers: Toyota and Honda. Well, when I was looking for this vehicle, I was looking for something that was, well, reliable. And I'll talk about that more later on in the video. The search led me to the 4Runners. Like I said, Toyota and Honda. The only truck that I'm aware of that Honda has ever made is the Honda Ridgeline, and that really wasn't going to be an option for me. I wasn't a fan of them. They don't get great reviews. I didn't like the look. A lot of things weren't going for them. And so I turned my attention to the Toyota truck lineup. So you have the Tacoma, the Tundra, the T100, and of course the Toyota 4Runner. You also have the Highlander and the Sequoia, but and obviously there's other options too, but those were kind of the main ones and ones that we're looking at. The reason I decided to go with the Toyota 4Runner was really honestly just two different reasons, and those two reasons are right here. One is this badge, it's a Toyota, and the second was this super reliable 3.4 liter V6 engine. If you look at forums, if you look at reviews, if you look at other videos, if you talk to anybody that's ever owned it, these engines are absolutely bulletproof, and it just made me feel very confident that this would be a good truck to get because of the engine. Another thing that also kind of proves that it's a reliable engine is if you go on Craigslist or whatever your local kind of private party automotive used forum platform is, you're going to notice you'll find these vehicles, the 4Runners, especially the ones with a 3.4 liter V6 with well over 200,000 miles, original engines that drive excellently. And so when you see that and you see the resale value and what people are asking for these types of trucks, it's crazy. I understand. I live in California, and I know that on the East Coast and places where it rusts more, even in the Midwest, it seems that these don't hold their value quite as well as they do over here on the West Coast. But it's not unheard of at all to see a 4Runner, even a basic one with few options, as long as it's four-wheel drive and it's got the 3.4 liter V6. It's not uncommon at all to see them asking over $6,000 for an engine that has over 250,000 miles on it. When I was looking for a vehicle, I had dealt with two entirely different cars right before I got this 4Runner. One was a 2007 BMW 335i, which was the first year that they introduced that engine. The car had about 80,000 miles on it, and it basically felt like a ticking time bomb, because if you look at forums, most of them have turbos that go out at 100,000 miles. I started calling around getting quotes, and the lowest quote I got was $4,000. So I was petrified of that thing blowing up and me having to shell out $4,000 just to get it back up and running, and it's gonna have high miles at that point, and it was an 07. It wasn't an option. So while I was trying to get rid of that, I actually bought a 1993 Ford Ranger, and that had the 4-liter V6, if you're familiar, and that had about 180,000 miles on it when I bought it. And it was kind of just like it was supposed to be a temporary car. I bought it real cheap for like, $600 or something. I had to fix a couple things on it, but it was cheap to own. And that thing had problem after problem, but like it wouldn't stop running. It just kept driving. It was actually a pretty good truck. The one issue with that, besides the fact that it didn't look good and it wasn't anything impressive, was that it was two-wheel drive. So now you can kind of see where I was at. I had a nice luxury sport car that I was just afraid of. Drove great, was fully loaded, but I was just scared of it. And then on the other hand, I had this truck that was two-wheel drive, and it just had problems, and it was just old, and I needed something different. So I decided, hey, I like the truck aspect, but I want a real truck, something that I can really take off-road without worrying, and I want something reliable that I'm not afraid is going to cost a lot of money or have big issues that's going to leave me stranded on the side of the freeway 30 minutes away from my house. Okay, so now the whole point of the video, how much has it cost to own this 1998 third generation pre-facelift refresh of the third generation Toyota 4Runner? Now, to keep it in context, this vehicle had roughly 130,000 miles. It had a little bit less than that, original miles, at the beginning of 2017, and it ended 2017 with just under 140,000 miles. So about 10,000 miles, and that's kind of where it was in the lifespan, just so you know. But now let's go over how much it cost for those 10,000 miles at that period of time for me over the last year. First thing that I paid for in January, I'm pulling it up, I took pictures of all the receipts so I could be completely accurate and so you guys would get a good idea of maybe places you could save money where I didn't, and just kind of to get a full picture of what happened. So January 4th, 2017, I replaced the right rear axle seal because it was leaking. And it wasn't, I mean, it was such a small leak, it was really preventative maintenance, but this 4Runner is in such good shape, it was in such good shape when I bought it. I felt like, okay, well, you know, what's a little bit of money? I'd rather just fix it and have it done and have it, you know, good receipt for resale value, because why not? You know, it's not worth letting it go bad, and then, you know, it just wasn't worth it to me. So I just paid the money. It cost $218.34. So that was the first thing I had done. All right, second thing I had done was about 2 months later. So February 21st, so end of February, I guess about 7 weeks later, so like I said, almost 2 months, I did a transmission fluid flush. Now this is something that I think it's supposed to get done about every 120,000 miles. I could be wrong. I know I had the maintenance schedule like memorized when I bought this thing. Now that I've had it for a little over a year, I don't put that many miles on it, so I've kind of forgotten, but I knew that it wouldn't hurt to do a transmission flush. I think one had already been done on it. It might be every 60,000 miles. But I know it had been done once, but so I decided, you know what, let's do that. Again, more preventative maintenance. It's not like the transmission was sticking or anything, but as you probably know, that's not when you want to change it anyways. If you're having transmission issues, usually the worst thing you can actually do at that point is to change the fluid, because at that point, it's so mucked up and gummy, it's almost holding your gears together, and if it's slipping or if you're having issues, there's probably a problem with your gears in the transmission. And so when you flush that fluid out, you're probably flushing out parts of the gear, and usually it won't run as smoothly. So if you're having transmission issues, don't flush your fluid. Usually consult a mechanic, look up the forums. But anyways, I did that because, again, wanted to be preventative. That cost me $281.62. So something that I did at the same time, I ordered this on the 21st, but actually this is something I did at home with a friend, and that was change the rear differential fluid. So kind of for the same reason, didn't have any problems, but the vehicle hadn't been in four-wheel drive much in the life of it, and I know this because it was an 80-year-old man, and I mean, the bottom of this truck was just flawless when I bought it. It was just very obvious that it had not been four-wheel driven much. So I wanted to change that rear differential fluid just to make sure that everything's good, because again, it's not expensive and I'd rather the vehicle just be treated right. So for all the fluids all together, it cost $28.92 on Amazon, and I just did that myself. So no labor involved, super cheap. And then there was actually only one other thing all year that I had to do for the vehicle, and that was replace the starter and change the oil while I was doing that. So I actually did a video of this. I caught it on camera when my starter was going out, and basically my engine just wouldn't turn over. It did end up starting enough times where I was able to get it home and then get it to the body shop the next morning to have it fixed. But again, you know, that was pretty much, that was the only thing that happened that wasn't preventative maintenance that needed to be done. And keep in mind, during this visit, I did have the oil changed, which, you know, it's regular maintenance, but, you know, you could, I guess it kind of falls under that same umbrella of preventative maintenance, where it wasn't something that, like, the car broke down and it needed to be done. It's just to kind of make sure that it runs good in the future. So to get the starter replaced, to get, you know, oil change, and then obviously they inspected everything, right? And they kind of, they put a value on that on their receipt. But anyways, the total for that was, and this was the most expensive one, $387.03. So that was the most expensive one. That was the only thing that was an actual issue that wasn't preventative maintenance that came up, and that happened in July the 14th. So many months later, and about halfway through the year. And that was actually the last thing in 2017, maintenance-wise, that I had to pay for on this Toyota 4Runner. So there we have it, guys. That's everything that went wrong, and that's everything I had to pay for in 2017 on my 4Runner. So let's hop in the car, let's take a trip, let's add it all up, and then talk about my thoughts. Okay guys, so in total, when we add everything up over the whole year of 2017, the total it cost me to have my 2017 Toyota 4Runner was $916.11. Now keep in mind, that was doing none of the work by myself and having a shop do everything. So could it be cheaper for you? Absolutely. And also keep in mind, most of that, in fact, 66% of all of that was actually all preventative maintenance. So things that, yes, should have been done, and I'm glad were done, but didn't necessarily need to be done. So that's something to consider, because it could have been a lot cheaper had I pushed those things off or just chose not to do them entirely. So I think overall, the vehicle is very affordable to own. I love it. And I expect it to be even cheaper to own this year now that I've done some of that preventative maintenance. It's already 6 weeks into the new year, into 2018, and I've done nothing. I am scheduled to do an oil change pretty soon, which again, I will pay someone to do because it costs about $30 more than if I were to do it. But then I have a receipt, it's on file, I can prove it was done in a timely manner. And honestly, I just don't have to do it. So $30 to save myself some time, effort, and have proof of it, totally fine with. So anyways, I hope you guys thought this video was helpful. I hope it gave you a good insight as to why these vehicles are so sought after and why they hold their value as well as they do, at least over here on the West Coast market. If you found any value in this video, or if you found it entertaining at all, go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. I'd really appreciate it. If you have any feedback or comments, drop that down below. And as always, subscribe to see more videos. I have some stuff on the 4Runner coming up, as well as tons of other stuff where I just kind of follow along with what I'm doing with my cars, with my business, with everything. So I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much.